Hi there summoners, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes, and tonight we are getting the reveal of the next Emblem Hero to drop into the game in just a couple of days. So I got the trailer pulled up here, let's see who it is. So I'm kind of thinking that it's probably going to be a female emblem. We've gotten 2 male emblems so far with Ike and Marth, so I think frontrunners are probably Lyn, maybe Celica, maybe Tiki. Well, Tiki was DLC, so I don't know if they would add her so quickly. So I'm thinking either probably Emblem Lyn or Emblem Celica. Hopefully it's not Lyn, because if it's Lyn, I'm probably going to have to summon for her. And I kind of want to save up orbs. So we'll see. Got the trailer pulled up here. Let's go ahead and hit start and watch it together for the first time. See what's in store. All right, wait for the text to leave, and here we go. A new Emblem Hero joins the battle, of course. And, oh, that is Celica of Echoes. That is going to be Celica. Okay. Alright, so Asatani Tomoyo doing the art for her. It's actually interesting because it is a departure from the typical style from Asatani Tomoyo. Carrying Magic, Warp Ragnarok, Verge of Death, Resonance 4, Infantry Null Follow-Up 4, and the Emblem effect. So, can warp near foes within 6 spaces on Unleash Your Special. Her engaged partner can warp near foes as well. Okay. Alright. Carrying Magic. Oh god, this back and forth. Proc in the special. Cool animation. That glow. That burst. So, yeah, I guess that is, that does make sense. I mean, thematically, Thematically, it works for Celica as the emblem in Engage, right? So, Emblem Guide You. Alright. Emblem Heroes can engage with other heroes, accept another copy of themselves. And there she is. Who are they going to pick? Oh, they're going to pick Saline, okay. Alright, engage complete. And we can take a look at what the effects are and the kit is overall and everything. Special gets boosted. Boost special damage by units max speed. Oh, okay, so it's a damage boosting effect. Yeah, you need pruning. Okay. Alright. I mean, I fully expect Celica's kit to be disgusting, as they have been with all the Emblem Heroes. Okay, so Medeus, Xander, Embla, okay, Veronica, 2. Famortis, we got Goto, alright, Hinoka, Ivy, Rosado, interesting. Okay, we got Merrick in there, Sita, okay, alright. So Famortis and, really, okay, alright. So again, starting on the 28th and going until July 11th, and of course, FEH Pass subscribers can spark 1 time. Alright, so taking it back, starting on the 28th of June and going for about 2 weeks, we got Emblem Celica here as our new Emblem Hero. So yeah, I thought she was a pretty clear front runner for this particular banner. Alright, so let's rewind for a second and take a closer look. So Celica is going to be an infantry blue mage. So she is infantry, okay, and a blue mage, and that is nice for Celica emblem. That's some nice variety kind of cooked in there for all the different Celicas, so that's a nice little touch. Asatani Tomoyo doing the art for Celica here, and it is a little bit of a departure from their traditional style. I think that they tried to mirror or mimic the Engage style a little bit, and I think it works well. Obviously, the glowing effect for the Emblem Heroes in general, it's very striking. You know, it's very nice with the blazing blue fire just swirling around them. But otherwise, you know, simpler, clean artwork overall. Nice shading. It comes together nicely. And again, it's not a huge deviation from the Celica design that we know and love, of course. Just because, again, it's the emblem version of her, right? So got some warping going on as we see. So let's take a look at her kit here. So Carrying Magic, again, she's a blue tome mage, so this is going to be a blue tome. 14 might, has a killer slaying effect. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, +6 to attack and speed during combat. Grants bonus to units' attack and speed equal to 20% of units' speed at the start of combat, and deals damage equal to 20% of units' speed. Neutralizes foes' bonuses to speed and res from skills like Fortify and Rally, And grant special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first follow-up attack during combat. Oh, interesting. And also, if unit initiates combat, unit can make a follow-up attack before the foe's next attack. Okay, so completely separate and distinct. As long as she is player phasing, she actually is able to double. She gets a desperation effect. And then, in addition to the desperation effect, everything kind of scales off of her speed. She gets fixed boosts to attack and speed, gets a scaling boost to attack and speed that scales off of her speed, fixed damage or true damage that scales off of her speed as well, and then the whole additional special charge prior to the follow-up attack is interesting. That would mean that, presumably, especially, I don't know if she's going to have neutralizing guard effects or anything like that, but Warp Ragnarok has a 2-turn cooldown, right? So carrying magic is going to be at is going to put it at a 1-turn cooldown with the killer slaying effect. And so what that means is that when she's attacking into somebody, even if there is that guard effect or even a resetting, a special rewind effect even on her, it doesn't matter, because if the special rewind happens on her and she's attacking right before her follow-up attack, and presumably she has some skill in here that's going to, neutralize effects that prevent follow-up attacks, as, I would think anyway. So if she's follow-up attacks, then even with a guard effect on her and a special rewind, she's going to charge her special before the second hit, and Warp Ragnarok is going to proc, right? So boost special damage by 25% of unit's attack, okay, and unit can move through foes' spaces. Through foes' spaces. What does that mean exactly? For each foe within 6 spaces of unit can move to the nearest spaces that are 2 spaces away from that foe, unless space is impassable terrain. Okay. Alright. So I'm guessing that it's still, the warping effect is still blocked by impassable skills, right, in general. But beyond that, I mean, she has... That's a lot of warping capability. Within 6 spaces of the unit, she can warp to an area where she can attack that unit. So it's not the first time we've seen this. It is the first time we've seen it, I think, cooked into a special. And I think I've said this before, I don't really like effects that are cooked into the special that just feel kind of like, it kind of feels like it's duct taped on, because it doesn't actually play into any of the other effects of her special. It's just kind of there to just make her stronger. I mean, they added warp to the special name, so yeah, I know, I get it. It's tangentially related to the special name, but they could have added warp anywhere. They could have called it warp carrying magic and just added it to the weapon. So I don't know, it's a little weird to me when they do it that way. At start of turn, if special cooldown count is at its max value, grant special cooldown count -1. Oh, okay. Alright, so it has its... So it charges itself, okay? And I don't know if that was really necessary, but it charges itself. So at the start of the turn, it's at a 1-turn cooldown. It will always either be at a 0 or a 1-turn cooldown with the killer slaying effect of carrying magic. So if it is a 1-turn cooldown, she gets an insta-charge. Since she gets an insta-charge with Warp Ragnarok, and assuming that there is no special rewind or guard effect or anything like that, that means that her first attack is going to be Warp Ragnarok, and her second attack is going to be Warp Ragnarok. Because she gets a charge in between her first and second attack. Okay, I see where we're going. Verge of Death for the A slot, attack speed +8, defense res -8. And then at start of turn, or at start of player phase or enemy phase, neutralizes panic and any penalties to unit's attack and speed that take effect on unit at this time. Alright, so far, very, very destructive. Very, very destructive. Resonance 4 for the B slot. Deals damage to unit as combat begins... equal 20% of X. X equals the unit's max HP before entering combat -20. Okay? Max HP before entering battle. Means unit's max HP excluding HP increases from legendary effects, mythic effects, bonus heroes. Activates only when unit can attack in combat. Effects that reduce damage during combat do not apply. Will not reduce unit's HP below 1. Naturally, right? So wait, how does that work? So it deals damage to herself as combat begins, 20% of X. And so it's a calculation off of her max HP minus all of these other effects minus 20. So she's always going to have 20 HP is I guess how it works. 20% of it's 20% of X. So no, it's all right. So the calculation is it's her HP minus 20, and then 20% of that is how much damage she takes as combat begins. Okay, and then inflict special speed res minus 4 on foe during combat. And the unit deals damage equal to unit's HP at the start of combat minus current HP times 2 during combat. Max 12, min 6, excluding AoE specials, and reduces the percentage of foes' non-special reduced damage by X%, skills by percentage of unit's HP at start of combat minus current HP times 10 during combat, max 60%, min 30%, excluding AoE specials. So it's a mouthful. It's a mouthful, and honestly a little bit of a headache. So it looks like she's got some damage reduction piercing, right? She's got damage reduction piercing in here, but it's scaling off of her HP stat, and specifically her remaining HP stats that. So it's the current HP minus the max HP. Or the HP at the start of combat times 10. So what that means is that she's going to take a certain amount of damage at the start of combat. That number is going to be used as a calculation for this as well. It's going to be that times 10 is going to be the actual piercing that she has for the damage reduction effect. Okay, so that damage reduction piercing is kind of necessary these days. Unfortunately, it's like every single unit, their brother, their sister, their uncle, their grandparents, their nieces and nephews, they all have damage reduction, and stacked, multiple times and amplified and all kinds of stuff. So basically damage reduction, piercing, if not nullification, is effectively mandatory these days. So so she has that built in, and scaling off of her HP stat. It is a little unusual, and it is, I guess, a little dangerous too, because there's no limit. I mean, obviously her HP can't be reduced below 1. I guess ideally Celica's really not taking any damage anyway in combat, because she's attacking, doubling, proccing her special over and over again, dealing tons of damage with damage reduction piercing, so she is hopefully destroying whatever she's attacking into. So she's not going to be taking a lot of damage and a lot of counterattacks, but that does mean that, since this scales off of effectively the differential of her HP, she's going to be taking damage quite a bit. Like, every time she attacks, she's going to be taking damage. Which can possibly synergize with other effects. You have to think about that, just because there are certain effects that require certain HP thresholds. I don't know. I'm sure that somebody's already kind of done, done the work in checking out all of the different skills that require certain HP thresholds and being able to work with that. But I feel like there might be some potentially fun combinations there. Infantry null follow 4 for the C slot at start of turn. If unit is within 2 space of an ally, grants null follow up and the following status to unit for 1 turn. And unit can move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces. At start of turn, grants null follow up to infantry allies within 2 spaces of unit. So there we have it. The null follow up is of course going to allow her to double with impunity, which is what she wants, because she actually has a desperation effect built in, proccing 2 specials in a row. And infantry null follow-up, it has a nice added effect of her having additional warp capability based around her ally positioning, and then her weapon gives her warp capability based around her enemy positioning. So again, she's going to be a mobile mage. She's going to be warping all over the place out there. Emblem effect, enhanced engaged special, boost special damage by units max special cooldown count value times 4, excluding AoE specials. For each foe within 5 spaces of unit can move to the nearest space that is within the unit's range from that foe, unless space is in passable terrain. Wow. So, okay, so her engaged unit also gets her warping capability, which is quite profound. That's it's very strong. It's a very strong effect, being able to kind of just warp in there from such a range. It is within 5 spaces rather than the 6 spaces that Celica has, so she does have a better version of it. But yeah, that's quite good. Quite good. So yeah, no, Celica's a monster. I mean, she's going to do tons of damage. She is effectively a nuking mage. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what she is. And she has a lot of, I guess, a lot of insurance, a lot of securities, a lot of just workarounds to ensure that she does do what she set out to do, which is double Get a lot of additional damage effects based scaling off of her speed and her attack stat, boosts to her attack and speed stats, reducing the enemy's speed and resistance so she does more damage, and so that she does double much easier, and again, that differential helping just in general with her being able to double and just deal more damage with the scaling. And then, again, there's damage reduction, piercing built in, there's proccing of the special twice effectively in a row that really can't be countered or stopped. And like guard effects, I would think that guard effects basically are nothing to her. I mean, so even if she has a guard status effect against her on her, right? That doesn't really mean anything, because when she first attacks, maybe her first attack won't have the special proc, but she gets the special cooldown between her attacks. So the second attack is going to be the special proc, irrespective of whether or not there is a guard effect on her, I think, because I don't think that really impacts that at all. So yeah, they did a host of different demonstrations here, just because I guess there's all sorts of different scenarios that you might run into with her. So yeah, the Resonance 4, she takes a bunch of damage there. It's not a ton, it's just a little, but, so it's like 20, it's 20% of her HP minus 20, something like that. Yeah, and then she attacks twice in a row, like so. There's her warping capability, which again is pretty amazing. Warp Ragnarok. Okay, and then here she goes, so she's going to proc her special, then she's going to get the charge, and then she's going to proc her special again. Yep. I mean, I feel like these days we just keep getting units that constantly charge their own specials and are self-sufficient in that regard over and over and over again. It feels a little silly, and at this point I feel like there aren't that many people watching anymore. It's usually what happens with these reaction videos, but I don't know. I think ever since they kind of introduced Emblem Heroes, I haven't loved how they've incorporated them. I know people tend to joke in general about kind of like power levels in Fire Emblem Heroes. They have for years. Everybody's like, oh, power creep. Okay, well, let me back up some. Let's go over this. So Medeas again, Xander, Embla, so Veronica. So alongside Celica, Fomortis. So Fomortis and Godo together again is a little weird. Hinoka. Okay, so we've got Ivy, Rosado, Merrick, and Sita. Interesting, huh? So I had to pause this because I actually forgot which Sita and which Ivy this was. Alright, so they're both attuned heroes. So we got two attuned heroes with Celica, and that's pretty phenomenal. Attuned heroes, they're limited, they have incredible value, they've got the extra slot, they don't get used up when you inherit with them, so there's a lot of utility for stacking skills and saving skills and doing all kinds of storing shenanigans that people like to do. So there's a lot of value on blue then. So we got two attuned heroes, one emblem hero, all on blue. And then for red, we've got Hinoka, who's still strong. Hinoka's still strong as a legendary hero. We've got Embla and Veronica, right? So that's decent. That's alright. Yeah, I would say that's still pretty strong. It's probably not as powerful as blue, but still respectable. For green, we've got Xander, Rosado, and Merrick. So that's, I forget which, is that attuned Merrick? Or, I don't, so regardless, Rosado is quite powerful. A recent new hero, but also not limited in any way. Xander, on the older side as far as legendary heroes go, still relatively strong in his own right. But I would say that just comparatively speaking, green is not quite as strong as either red or blue here, in my mind anyway. And then for colorless, we've got Medeas, we've got Goto, and we've got Fomortis. So that's actually kind of like a defensive powerhouse color here. I will say that, they're older. They're still respectable, but they're not like the walls, like compared to a lot of things that have come out recently. They're not the walls that they used to be. But that being said, they're still respectable and strong. I would probably put them on the same level as green. Yeah, I would probably put them on the same level as green. We've had so many opportunities to get free Fomortises and everything, or guaranteed Fomortis. So if you don't have them by now, then I don't know what you're doing. But But yeah, so green and colorless around at the same level probably. I would say blue up top and red just below. And yeah, blue as the marquee color for Celica has a strong showing. There's a lot of value there with the attuned heroes, and an Emblem hero at that. So yeah, here we are. Again, Emblem Celica is here starting on the 28th of June and extending for about 2 weeks. I was kind of like, I kind of cut myself off mid-tangent before, and I guess this is really the time to get into it. I mean, I feel like in general, Fire Emblem Heroes has always gotten a lot of criticism for power creep that I think is unfair. I think for years people have kind of harped on power creep, and the reality is that yeah, there's some progression, some skills that and skills that they push, units that they push, power levels that are going up, but at the same time, there's always been a respectable level of being able to bring your old units, your old favorites, up to the same level. And you know, have them kind of fight toe-to-toe as they need to, especially with a little strategy behind the human touch. And I think that's still the case today. I think that's technically still the case today, but I also think that at a certain point, like around December of last year, they've just kind of like stopped caring. So I don't know, maybe I should put out like a state of the game like video or something. I don't know. Since I don't really do the meta, I don't know if people really care about my opinion about the state of the game at this point. But it does feel like it just does sort of feel like at some point they kind of turned up the gas and have not pushed the brakes at all on things. And it's I don't know. It's gotten a little just exhausting, I guess. But anyway, let me know down below if you're excited for Emblem Celica. I like Celica a lot as a character. I think she's great. I think what she does is going to be extremely powerful. She's going to be super strong. That warping capability is going to be so unique and vital and valuable for both her and her partner, and it's really going to be a lot of fun to use too. For me personally, again, I'm kind of in saving mode. I was nothing against Celica. Again, I really like her as a character, but I was kind of hoping it was her because I think I can skip her just because I need to save orbs. Summer 2 is coming. Who knows what that's going to be. And then at the end of July, Legendary Camilla is coming back. So again, my orbs are kind of dedicated to certain things right now, different priorities. But she looks great. Celica looks great. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, let's protect those skies.